Okay, so here we are again on the Minecraft download page. We're now going to try creating a server from the jar file, which is slightly more complex, but it gets you a little bit more experience with running Minecraft servers through the console window, which is how it has to run on a Macintosh and how you can have a bit more control over what's going on in your server. So we'll look at the differences and you can choose which version of the server you want to run. So in the first video we downloaded the Minecraft server exe file, which installed Minecraft server and then runs it for us with a launcher. Okay, fairly straightforward. We're now going to download the Minecraft server 1.81 jar file itself. I'm going to keep that file and that's downloaded at the bottom of the screen there. And we're going to go to the tutorial in this wiki article which will tell us how to set up a server based on using the jar file. So I click on that one, that link, and it does give you a very clear warning there that if you don't know what you're doing, you could be playing with things which could damage your computer. So be prepared that if you do damage your computer for any reason, we can't take any responsibility for that. You're playing with Java, you're going into the console, you're doing stuff which could put your PC at risk if you don't know what you're doing. But we all didn't know what we were doing when we started out, so you've got to take the step sometime. So this just talks about making sure the latest version of Java is installed. That's very straightforward. We've done that. We've installed Java using the Java development kit. It also talks about the end user license file, which is fine. So we'll be covering that as well. It talks about then setting the system path. We don't need to do that. What we do need to do is come down to this bit here and copy this little bit of code and put it into a text file. So I'm opening up Notepad and I'm going to need to save that in a moment. So pasting that from there into there, and I need to save that in a moment. So we'll come back in a second. Right, before we do anything else, we're going to find our Minecraft server jar file, which is there in our downloads folder. And I'm going to move that into a new place on my C drive. So again, in my C drive, right clicking on there, I'm going to create a new folder which is going to be called Vanilla Jar Server. Okay, that's fine. And I'm going to put my Minecraft server into there. So I click on there. That's where my server jar file lives. Now, I'm going to, in my notepad file, you'll notice we've copied and pasted that text, but it's referring to a server file just called Minecraft_server.jar. So what this file is going to do is it's obviously got a title, which is a run file, run Minecraft. It's then giving a Java a command. It's telling it how much memory to allocate to Java. And it's telling it how much maximum memory to allocate to Java, how much standard and how much maximum to allocate to the server. It's then looking for a jar file, -jar, and it's the name of the jar file, and it's not going to put a graphical user interface on it, no GUI, no GUI, no graphical user interface, and then it's going to pause. So we need to save that, and I'm going to save that as, and it must be saved as, because we don't want it to be a text file, we want it to be a .run file, which is a bat file. So if we look back at our instructions here, we have to save it as .serverbat. So back in here, I'm finding my local disk. I'm going to find my vanilla jar server. I need to save into here, and I'm going to call this start_server. You can call it whatever you like as a title, but .bat is the important thing. Save and close that down. So we now have in our folder an executable batch file server to start the server and Minecraft server 1.8. Now, do you remember in that file it said it was looking for Minecraft_server.bat. So I need to rename this. I need to take off the .1.81 in order for this to work. So it just says Minecraft server. That's right. So I can now double click on there and it's looking for that particular file, and look what's going on in the background. It's creating a number of things in the background. So we're back to where we were. We've got the end user license agreement. And it says here, failed to load the end user license. You need to agree to the end user license in order to run the server. Go to ULA text for more info. Press any key to continue. Okay, stop that. So it's created the end user license agreement. It's created the server config file. We now need to do what we did before in the first video. Open up the EULA and agree to the terms and conditions. So true means I've now agreed to those terms and conditions. I will just save that and close it down. I will now run the start server command again, and we should see the server being created, a whole load more files down here being created. There we go. It's preparing the spawn area just like it did before. And we're getting that feedback now that it's running the Java. And once it's finished preparing the spawn area, this server will become available for us to log into. Now, the reason I like using the console window, the command window, or console window, is because I can scroll back and see exactly what's happened at any time if I need to get information. So it's created a server. Default game type is survival. Starting Minecraft server on the port, that's okay. There's a few errors there, but while it was creating the files, it shouldn't come up with those errors every time we log in. So we've got the server up and running. So again, if I come back to my Minecraft here, I'll refresh this page, we can see the vanilla Minecraft server, which is on the same IP address, 150.237.148.31, is available for us to join. So if I join that, it'll log me in, it'll download the terrain, and it'll dump me somewhere near some water on a beach. There we go. I'm right next to a very pretty pool. How lovely. So I'm in a different world, on a different server, and I'm ready to start playing. So very quickly, coming back to our server here, you can see that Jollop joined the game, and it's now running on that server with me authenticated. So I'm joined the server. Okay, I'll just quickly disconnect from the server. It'll then tell me Jollop left the game, and I'm going to type in stop to stop the server. So that's now saved all the things in the game. It saved all the world, saved all the spawn points, saved everything it needs to save, and press any key to continue. So that's the server now stopped. So as I say, to run the server, we just double click on Start Server, and it will run the server again for us. Again, notice that in both cases, if I open this one and open this one here, so putting two folders next to each other, this is the vanilla server jar, this is vanilla. They're almost identical. We've got a logs file, world file, band file, end user license agreement, the Minecraft server JavaScript file, an ops file, a server file, a bat file in this one, and then the user cache and the whitelist in there. So the only thing that's different really from running it from the command prompt is you need to create a bat file to actually launch it, and it launches that Java file, whereas the exe file does all of that in one go for you. Okay, so launching the server again, it runs Minecraft, and this time there shouldn't be so many errors. There we go. Starting the regions, there's no errors now, it's just preparing the spawn. Everything is set up. That's a lot cleaner. So I've run the server a couple of times and everything is now running nicely. Okay, so that's how you basically set up a server. There are lots of configurations of things you can do on the server. So back in here, if I open up the server properties file, there are lots of things in the server properties file that you can change to change the way the game actually plays. So for example, at the moment we're in game mode 0, which is survival mode. If you stop your server and change that to a 1, and I save the file, so if I change that to a game mode 1 and stop the server, let's do that. Press any key to continue. So I've changed the game mode to 1. Next time when we relaunch the server, we should see that that server is now looking for the properties file, and it should change the game mode for the server. So there we go. Default game type now is creative. as opposed to survival. So simply typing game mode equals 1 has changed the way in which the server is interacting for people. It's now going to be a creative server. So again, there are other things in here you can read up on and you can change. You can turn off spawning monsters. So spawn monsters you could make false, in which case you'll never get any monsters. You could make the difficulty 0, easy, in which case you'll get no monsters. You can turn player versus player off, in which case you make that false and people can't hurt each other with player versus player. You can do a whole range of things. You can change the port that you're communicating on. That might be useful for your IT people to know if you want to move to a different port. You can put your server IP in here if you want to hard code your IP address into your game. Again, that's good for servers that you're actually moving to the outside world. So we'll talk a lot more about the config files as we go through into the way in which we handle servers, because all servers have a config file, whether it's a Forge server, whether it's a Bucket server or a vanilla Minecraft server, they all have a config file. So we'll talk more about the config file in another video. But suffice to say, any change you make in here at any time, you need to stop the server. So I'm going to put that back to 0, save, and I'm going to stop the server. And then I'm going to reload the server in order for that change I've just made to take effect. So next time I launch the server, we will now see when that launches, we're back into survival mode again. There we go, default game type survival. Okay, that's just about it for this video then. So we've shown you how to create a Minecraft server on a Windows PC using either the installer file, just shut that one down, either the installer file or directly from the executable jar file. In our next video, we'll show you how to do the same process but on a Mac. Okay, thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.